and welcome to Girlfriend Therapy Radio. You guys have no idea how excited I am and how nervous I've been all day. I've been nervous, actually not even just all day, but I have been nervous for the past month. But I am so excited to be here at the Brownstone with Girlfriend Therapy Radio. You guys already know, if you follow me on any of my social medias, you already know how we do here at Girlfriend Therapy. So I'm excited. It's funny, I was thinking about how nervous I was. And so I was asking the question, like, oh, my God, who is Kwanzaa on the radio? And then I wondered, oh, my God, what is Girlfriend Therapy on the radio? And then I realized that I am exactly who I always am. And I realized that Girlfriend Therapy is exactly as it always has been and always will be. And so I got myself a little tied up in anticipating what this Girlfriend Therapy Radio thing was going to be. And so what I did for myself, and if any of you guys have ever experienced me, you already know that that I kind of get off track a little bit. So I had to do a couple of things for myself, and I have set some Girlfriend Therapy Radio rules. And I'm just going to share those rules with you. They're for me. They're not for you. But it's to help me stay on track because, like I said, I am still Kwanzaa, and it still is Girlfriend Therapy. And as you guys know, I talk a little too fast at times. So my first radio rule for myself is to practice slowing down. So I'm going to try to slow this thing down from time to time. And then when you talk really fast, I tend to lose my breath. So I'm going to not just slow it down, but remember to breathe. That is my second radio rule. Remember to breathe. And the third thing, again, all of it stemming from the fact that I talk so fast, and I think this probably has to do more with my West Philadelphia upbringing and maybe even my West Philadelphia public school education. But my third rule is to enunciate, make sure that I am pronouncing my words, because if I'm speaking too fast, my words may come out a little mumble, and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to practice enunciating tonight or on the radio. The third or the fourth rule, again, if you guys have ever experienced me, you know that I have a difficult time of staying on topic. I will go down a rabbit hole in a minute and don't know how to get back out of it. So my fourth rule is to stay on topic. And as my daughter reminded me just today, she said, Mom, have to have fun. So you are here with Girlfriend Therapy Radio here at the Brownstone. I am loving my space at the Brownstone. I actually sent pictures out again. If you guys follow me on social media, you would have seen a picture of my setup here. Beautiful, very chill, very relaxed. And I think it will help me to maintain my radio rules. So as you know, the show tonight, we're going to talk about spirituality. We're going to talk about what it is. We're going to talk about how to develop spiritual maturity in you. And we're going to have a good time. Like I said, we're going to have fun. But before we get into the show, I want to take a quick break because once we jump in, we're going to just go. But I want to give you an opportunity. If you don't have a pen and piece of paper with you, it's not going to be real deep. We're not going to be at school, but there's going to be some nuggets that I think you might want to capture. So we're going to take a break real quick. Then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about spirituality, what it is, how to develop spiritual maturity in you. So after this break, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it. So let's talk about it.
Mark your calendars and plan to attend the 7th Annual Girlfriend Therapy Conference. Join me, Kwanzaa, and a host of friends as we ignite you to action and encourage you in the faith. Girlfriend Therapy Conference will be held on Saturday, March 25th, 2017, from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Westin Hotel, located at 1110 Old Elkridge Landing Road in Lithicum, Maryland, 21090. This is a free conference, so get a carload of your best girlfriends and come out for a little girlfriend therapy. For more information about Girlfriend Therapy Conference and Girlfriend Therapy Ministry, visit our website at www.girlfriendtherapy.org.
Okay. So that should have given you plenty enough time to grab your pen and notepad, and we're just going to jump right into it, and we're going to talk about spirituality. I think we have a tendency to make spirituality complicated, but really it's not complicated at all. In fact, it's one of the most natural states of being. The spiritual part of who we are is who we are. And so we do a lot in life that helps, that kind of remove us from our normal spiritual self. And so, we work really hard against our spiritual self or our natural self to be all these other different things that we've created in our mind. So I want to talk about spirituality, how to really establish yourself, get rooted and grounded, identify where you are, and, we're just going to kind of jump right into it. So the foundation scripture, now everybody that know me always know I come with a foundation scripture. So the foundation scripture for today comes from Proverbs 18:14, and it says that the spirit of a man will sustain him in sickness, but who can bear a broken spirit? Again, that's Proverbs 18:14, and it says that the spirit of a man will sustain him in sickness, but who can bear a broken spirit? And so people often use religion and spirituality interchangeably, but they're not the same. Spirituality is not religion, and religion is not spirituality. Spirituality is, I have to say this, is not even predicated upon religion, which means that it's not based on or established in religion. Neither is it derived from religion. That means it's not originated or traced back to religion. In fact, I would even venture to say that I think spirituality has even predated religion. So I think spirituality has been around even longer than any of the religions or, religious practices that you know of today. And so although the two may influence one another, what that means is spirituality can influence religion, I believe, and I also believe that religion can influence spirituality. Although they can influence one another, they're not the same. And they're not mutually exclusive, meaning that you can be spiritual and not be religious, and likewise, you can be religious without being spiritual. I always want to start off, when I talk about a topic, I think the best place to start is with a dictionary or with the definition. And I have to say, the dictionary really didn't help me out with this one. So one of the definitions that I came across, I think it was in Webster, for spirituality, it said that spirituality is the quality or state of being concerned with religion or religious matters. So that totally thwarted my whole idea of spirituality and religion being separated. But like I said, I do believe that the two influence one another. Webster also defines religion as a particular system of faith and worship. And I like the word particular system because that's kind of the mind state that I have when I think about religion is a system. It's a system and a way of doing things, and it almost becomes, I guess, religious or methodical even. So I like that definition for religion. But I want to, even though Webster's and the dictionaries kind of make the two related, I still see them as separate. And so I want to share a couple of three fundamental differences. And this is where you want to grab your pen and piece of paper because I think you're going to want to, either study it to show me proof that what I'm saying is correct, but you also might want to study it just for yourself to see what your thoughts are on it. And like I said, with Girlfriend Therapy Radio, the premise, the purpose really is to help to develop spiritual maturity in you. And what better way to start than to start with spirituality? And so some of the three of the fundamental differences that I see between spirituality and religion is, one, I see spirituality as limitless. And so if spirituality is limitless in my thinking, then I see religion as limited. And what I mean by limited, because some people are probably already ready to call in and say, wait, but just hear me out. When I say that spirituality is limitless, you'll understand it more as I get into this, my thoughts about it. And religion is limited. I say that religion is limited because, again, we're talking about a particular system, a way of doing things, a specific way of doing things. So if there's a specific way of doing things, then most often there is a tendency that you don't really deviate from that. And so in that regard, I find religion to be limited. But spirituality, as I said, you will, as I talk more about it, you will see how I see it as being limitless. The second thing, fundamental difference that I see is that spirituality it helps you to discover who you are. So spirituality encourages a discovering of who you are, where I believe that religion often tells you who you are. Again, I know my folks is out there like, wait, you know, and I understand even what you're thinking even now, but bear with me. I think religion is good when it tells you who you are, or not even religion, because I want to make the differentiation between religion and the Word of God. So that's probably a whole nother topic that we should probably pick up at another time. But for the purpose of this message on spirituality, I would say that religion tells you who you are. And if you guys have heard my message on Who's Kwanzaa, then you can kind of get a better sense of what I mean when I say that. So the second difference is that spirituality helps you discover who you are, but religion tells you who you are. The third fundamental difference that I see is that spirituality is freeing. It is so incredibly free. And I'm not saying freedom in the sense that you get to do whatever you want, but freedom in the sense that you understand yourself so much better that the path that you take to doing anything is done from a spirit-led space. And I'll talk more about that, but write that down. What you do is done from a spirit-led space. And so if spirituality is freeing, then I find religion to be binding, or I find religion to be I guess binding is a good word, like tied up, where you're not as free. I guess the opposite of free is binding. So let me show those three fundamental differences again. Spirituality is limitless, where religion is limited. Spirituality helps you discover who you are, where religion tries to tell you who you are. Spirituality is freeing, and religion is binding. So those are three fundamental differences that I see as it pertains to spirituality and religion. And so I don't want to get into, like, my topic is not to talk about religion. I think people have, when I talk about religion, I'm not talking about, you know, your relationship with Christ or any of those things. I'm talking about just the things about religion. It even talks about it in the Bible, the things about religion that hold you bound, and the things that even make the work of God ineffective, because we're so busy practicing those religious practices and those things that just are, like, even religion ties the hands. I'll say that again. I know my people are probably shooting me emails now, but that's what I'm talking about when I talk about religion. I'm not talking about a freedom to choose a faith to, to exercise. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when someone else tries to dictate to you how your faith is expressed. That's what I talk about when I'm talking about religion. So moving on from religion, I think one of the other important pieces to understand when you're talking about spirituality and developing spiritual maturity, one of the other important things to think about is the fact that we are three-part beings. And I'm sure you all have, or most of you have probably heard this analogy that, and it's not even an analogy, it's actually truth. It's the fact that we are three-part beings. We are spirit, we are body, and we are soul. And our soul is made up of our mind. That is what we think, how we think, what we put as the forefront of our thinking. So our mind, our will, that is what we want to do, how persistent we are in doing the things that we want to do. That is our will and our emotions. So let me say that again. Our soul is made up of our mind, our will, and our emotions. And a body, of course, is just physical, it's this vessel that we operate in, that we live in, that we move in, and where our spirit and our soul actually live. And our spirit, I believe, is the part of us that shows up, when we first take our very first breath, like when God had breathed breathed life into us. He breathed spirit into us. And that is the innate part of who we are. That is the core of who we are. When we show up, everything that we need is already equipped in us, like we're already fully equipped and designed to live the life that God has designed for us to live. And so what tends to happen is as we go on our journey of life, we tend to lose ourselves. And this is, again, I'm jotting down other topics because this is another topic that I think would be very beneficial to talk about, but how we tend to lose ourselves through life as we try to cater to other people's standards or ideas of who we are, and we get further and further away from our original self. And so when I talk about spirituality and spiritual maturity and developing spiritual maturity, I'm really talking about being led by your spirit, being in tune to your spiritual self, and listening and moving in that way. In the Bible, it talks about, in the book of Galatians, it talks about, being spirit-led versus being led by the flesh. And being spirit-led is really about it's really about, in Galatians it talks about, the fruits of the Spirit. It talks about love, joy, peace, temperance, long-suffering, all these different things. And then it talks about being led by the flesh. And when you're led by the flesh, you're operating in jealousy, envy, wickedness, all these other things that are contrary to the Spirit. And so the Scripture tells us to, walk in the flesh so that we don't fall to the things of the body, or or walk in the Spirit so that we don't fall into the things of the flesh. And so you guys can check out Galatians for more about the difference between, being Spirit-led and being led by the flesh. But as I go into spirituality, I wanted to just share with you guys a couple of definitions, and I'm going to try to slow down. I feel like I'm talking fast. I'm going to try to slow down. But I'm going to share with you a couple of definitions on spirituality. But before I get into that, I think I want to take a quick break. So I'm going to give you guys another break just to kind of reread some of the stuff that you wrote down. I hope you're taking notes. So we're going to take a really quick break, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to give you some definitions on what I mean when I talk about spirituality. And then I want to also give you some things that you can do, some practical things that you can do that will help you to develop spiritual maturity. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to get into the definitions that I'm using on spirituality, and also we're going to talk more about how, some practical things that you can do to develop spiritual maturity. So I'm going to take a break. We're going to come back, and, let's talk about it.
Mark your calendars and plan to attend the 7th Annual Girlfriend Therapy Conference. Join me, Kwanzaa, and a host of friends as we ignite you to action and encourage you in the faith. Girlfriend Therapy Conference will be held on Saturday, March 25th, 2017, from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Westin Hotel, located at 1110 Old Elkridge Landing Road in Lithicum, Maryland, 21090. This is a free conference, so get a carload of your best girlfriends and come out for a little girlfriend therapy. For more information about Girlfriend Therapy Conference and Girlfriend Therapy Ministry, visit our website at www.girlfriendtherapy.org.
I'm loving that music over at Girlfriend Therapy Conference coming up on March the 25th. I hope you ladies have marked your calendars and plans to come out. Girlfriend Therapy Conference, but we're going to get back into it because time is really going quickly, and I still have to share with you guys my thoughts and the definitions that I'm thinking when I'm talking about spirituality. So I'm going to try to slow it down, but not too slow, but I want you guys to capture it. And if you're following me on social media at Girlfriend Therapy Ministry on all social media platforms, and I'm actually going to post these definitions because I want you guys to make sure that you get it. So if you're not following me, make sure that you do. So one of the first definitions that I think of when I'm talking about spirituality is this. Spirituality is the idea of a process or journey of self-discovery. That's the key word, self-discovery, and of learning not only who you are, but who you want to be. That is like the root of spirituality for me, a journey of self-discovering and learning not just who you are, but who you want to be. The second definition for spirituality is the challenge of reaching beyond your current limits. And this can include keeping an open mind and questioning current beliefs, like the beliefs that you have. Ask yourself, why do I believe that? Do I believe it because someone told me, or do I believe it because it really bears witness to my spirit? So ask yourself, what is it that I believe? Why do I believe? And it really is about establishing your own conviction as it pertains to your faith and to the, and to your spirituality. So that's the second thing. Spirituality is the challenge of reaching beyond your current limits, and this can include keeping an open mind and questioning current beliefs or trying to better understand others' beliefs. That is a big one, too, trying to understand why other people believe the way that they believe. Sometimes that's one of the most difficult things, is just to have that conversation. And so spirituality really is about, keeping an open mind and understanding why you believe what you believe, and also understanding what others believe. The third definition for spirituality, spirituality is personal, but it's also a connectedness, not just to yourself, but to others. It's rooted in being connected with others and with the world around you. So when I talk about spirituality being conscious and being aware and all that stuff. This is really what it's about. It's talking about not just being connected to yourself, but it's being connected to everything else around you and the world around you. And with that connection, it can facilitate you finding your place in the world. The fourth definition for spirituality is that it doesn't necessarily have to solve or reach a conclusion. That's what I mean when I say spirituality is limitless, because you really can go from one level of understanding to another level of understanding. And so, and then you can often embrace some of the concepts that you learn as you're searching and moving in a direction of the meaning and purpose and direction for your life. So spirituality doesn't necessarily seek to solve or reach conclusion, but it helps you to develop as you're learning and navigating life. And the last definition that I have is spirituality is a higher power, and it's either rooted, like I said earlier, it could be, influenced by religion, but it's not necessarily religion. But it also can be influenced by like your nature or nature outside of you, or some kind of unknown essence. Some people feel more spiritual when they're out in the open or out in the. I don't even know. I'm not an outside person, so I can't even think of the right term for it. But when they're out in the world, out with nature, I guess that's the word, with nature. So some people feel more spiritual in that sense. Other people feel more spiritual when they're talking about spiritual matters. So those are the definitions that I have in mind when I'm talking about spirituality. And lastly, I just want to leave you guys with a couple of, like I said, practical things that you can do that will help you to develop spiritual maturity. One of the main things that you can do is community service. Volunteering your time and giving yourself to someone or something, some other need that's, that other people have is a great way to really get in tune with your spiritual self, because you, one, get to identify where you are and recognize that you have something to offer. A lot of times when we think about charity or giving or community service, people are always thinking in terms of dollars and cents, but it's not always about that. Often it's just really about you giving your time. Another thing that you can do to help develop spiritual maturity is keep a journal. And I'll chunk these three together. Keep a journal where you can just document important moments in your life or important events in your life, or you can keep a gratitude journal, which is something more specific, where you can write down your wins or write down the things that you're grateful for. And even on top of keeping a journal or gratitude journal, I'll share with you another thing that you can do that's kind of similar. And I actually got this idea from a young lady who will actually be speaking at the Girlfriend Therapy Conference, but you'll hear more from her. But you can tell yourself your story. Again, if you follow me on social media, you have seen my scroll where I write, I draw, I capture all these different things that's about me. And so I tell myself my story. And, again, that's an important way of reminding yourself of your journey, where you've been, your wins, your L's, all those different things that help to develop and grow you. So community service, keeping a journal, keeping a gratitude journal, telling yourself your story. Another thing that you can do is challenge yourself. A couple of years ago, I guess a couple of my fears were fear of heights and fear of drowning. I think I talked about that before. But my fear of heights, I actually went through a process of challenging myself in that area. So a couple of summers ago, got together with family and friends and, went to this adventure park. And, we had to traverse across this four-story kind of obstacle course, and it ended with a zip line. So talking about challenging yourself and facing your fears, that was a great opportunity for me to do that. And so that's another way to really get in tune with yourself and understand yourself. One of my ultimate all-time favorite ways of really, getting in tune with yourself and challenging yourself is, or not getting in tune with, getting in tune with yourself, not necessarily challenging yourself, is prayer. Prayer is the ultimate way to help to develop spiritual maturity in you. And I'm sure some people would think, because I was the same way when I was young in the faith, and I was like, I don't know how to pray. But when you start really just praying from your heart and speaking to God from your heart, that is a wonderful way of you recognizing what your concerns are, what your fears are, all of those things. And trust me when I tell you, God is open and available to hear those things. So don't feel like you have to have it all together to pray. You can say, God, I'm scared, I'm afraid, I'm disappointed. You can say whatever it is that you feel. Don't think that there has to be some kind of repetitious prayer. God is really interested in hearing your heart. So prayer is an incredible way to help develop spiritual maturity in you. And along with prayer, let's see, I'll give one last one last thing that you can do is create a joy box. And that's kind of similar to telling yourself your story, but the joy box is really just like a box. You can use an old shoe box or anything and just really put different mementos and things in there. The joy box that I have, I actually have a picture of me when I was 5 years old. And looking at that little 5-year-old Kwanzaa and that spark in her eye just continues to inspire me. So occasionally I'll pull out my joy box and just start looking at some of the things that's in there. So those are my thoughts and my ideas as it pertains to spirituality. Like I said, if you guys follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those wonderful things, Facebook specifically, I would definitely, put some of these notes somewhere just so you guys can get to it. Encourage you, if you miss something, to go back and listen to the message again. So that is my thoughts, my ideas as it pertains to spirituality. I'm excited to hear what you guys think. Please email me your questions, your comments, whatever it is. If I talk too fast, please tell me that. But you can reach me at Kwanzaa@girlfriendtherapy.org. My email address is Kwanzaa, that's KWANZA, @girlfriendtherapy.org. Thank you guys for tuning into my first live Girlfriend Therapy radio broadcast. Yay! It's a wrap. We talked about it, and I look forward to hearing more from you guys. So let's talk about it.
Mark your calendars and plan to attend the 7th Annual Girlfriend Therapy Conference. Join me, Kwanzaa, and a host of friends as we ignite you to action and encourage you in the faith. Girlfriend Therapy Conference will be held on Saturday, March 25th, 2017, from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Westin Hotel, located at 1110 Old Elkridge Landing Road in Ithaca, Maryland, 21090. This is a free conference, so get a carload of your best girlfriends and come out for a little girlfriend therapy. For more information about Girlfriend Therapy Conference and Girlfriend Therapy Ministry, visit our website at www.girlfriendtherapy.org.